The best monolithic society to live in would be Cuba between 1959 to 2008. Fidel Castro was born on August 13 of 1926 in Baran, Cuba. His father was a very wealthy Spanish sugarcane farmer, and his mother was a servant for his father, who eventually became his wife. Castro did have several children, but people don't know a lot about them, except that a daughter he had when he was young went to the United States for asylum. While in the United States, she publicly denounced her father's government. Castro had also married 2 different women. His first wife was his mother's servant, and they married when he was just a teenager. Castro had always wanted to go to school, but his parents didn't think it was necessary. He ended up going to a Catholic school. But his revolutionary career didn't start till he went to the School of Law of the University of Havana. There he started to create a resistance movement against the new dictator, Fulgencio Batista. He was a great student and athlete, but he wasn't very sociable. He started joining activists in gang groups, and he was accused several times by the police for violent acts like murder. At school, he gained an ambiguous reputation and was a great speaker. Then, in 1947, he took a break from law school and joined Jean Bosch to overthrow the government. But it was all called off during the ship ride to Dominica. Castro almost died then when he jumped off the boat into the shark-infested waters. After that, he then took part in a bunch of riots. Soon he stirred up a revolt and he headed back to law school. There he learned about fascism, a strong central government headed by one absolute ruler. And he learned about communism, where goods and services are owned by the government and distributed among the people. Not long after, he organized a group of people on July 26 of 1953. They attacked the Moncada military barracks in Provence. But he was arrested and had to serve 15 years in prison. But he was then pardoned from jail, and he left jail 2 years later. Then he started organizing another revolt. He called it the 26th of July movement. December 2nd of 1956 is when it all happened. By the end of the first attack of the government army, only 12 out of 80 of Castro's men survived. Castro then ran away and hid to the Sierra Mountains. While away, he designed a series of ambushes and secret attacks. As the leader of the revolution, he declared a national strike. But then Batista ordered strikers to be shot on sight, which caused massive shootings. Eventually, Batista started losing his military power. Fidel lectured the Cubans on morality and public virtue, and he also said he would create a democracy and hold free elections. He totally denied the fact that he was a communist. Castro confiscated money from Batista's followers. He reduced rents and got rid of the law that got rid of inherited property. What he did greatly hinted to communism. Soon, in 1959, many military leaders were replaced by communist radicals. Cuba was soon making relations with other communist countries like the Soviet Union. Fidel turned Cuba into the first communist state in the Western Hemisphere. He provided rural areas with electricity. He offered free education, he built schools, he offered free health care, and he made an effort to get rid of racism. He did great things, but also some horrible things. He eliminated the free press. He jailed a bunch of people who disagreed with him. And he got rid of private businesses. Many Cubans left to the United States because the political and economic options were very limited. 125,000 people eventually left Cuba. Cuba and the Soviet Union started trading, which separated Cuba from the United States. Fidel Castro supplied military and money to other guerrilla movements, also the same tactic he used to gain power, in Latin America and Africa. But after the Soviet Union fell, Cuba's economy was in danger. He couldn't trade with the United States because the United States considered Cuba an enemy. But he was able to hang on to power until 2006. In 2006, he temporarily gave the power to his brother Raul because he had an emergency intestinal surgery. Then 2 years later, in 2008, he permanently resigned from being dictator and gave all his power to his brother Raul.